More assistance.
Good. Now you are on TV now. Oh. Om Bhadra Sadhu Samaya Mano Balaya Bhadra Sadhu Denoba Siddha Dedu Membawa Sudu Kayam Subu Kayo Membawa Anorado Membawa Sarva Siddhi Meprayata Sarva Masu Siddhana Shriya Kuru Hong Ha 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 Ho Bhaka Sarva Tata Gata Bhadra Mame Muda Bhadzem Bhava Ma Samaya Sa Om Bhadra Sadhu Samaya Mano Balaya Bhadra Sadhu Ten Tito Dedo Membawa Sudo Kayo Membawa Subo Kayo Membawa Anurado Sarva Siddhi Me Prayaja Sarva Karma Sudha Me Sedana Shriya Guru Hung Ha 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 Bhaka Sarva Tadanga Bhadra Mame Muda Bhadze Bhava Ma Samaya Sadhu Om Bhadra Sadhu Samaya Mano Balaya Bhadra Sadhu Teno Dijan Dedo Me Bhava Sudu Kayo Me Bhava Subu Kayo Me Bhava Amorato Me Sarva Siddhi Me Prayata Sarva Karma Sudha Me Sedana Shriya Guru Hung Ha 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 Sarva Tata Gatra Bhadra Mame Munda Bhadzemba Ma Samaya Sadhu Hello everybody. Now we are this few days we're reflecting on the Gongchik teaching, which is taught by Lord Jigten Sunggun. So as a clarification of these Gongchik teachings, just to get complete. So we're now reflecting on the Nāgārjuna's teachings on the commentary on the Bodhicitta. Because there are some those verses that I have read, and this also which going to be read are very strong related to Gongchik teachings, as we have especially like related to about the emptiness. Very the beginner, the practitioner of the emptiness, so it's not enough. And then emptiness doesn't transcend the causality. Because of emptiness, then this they cut the nihilist, eternalist, because it teaches the non-duality. So all these important points are mentioned there. All this, as I repeatedly mentioned, we have to reflect the cause of suffering. The cause of our suffering is the delusion, the confusion, which is based on the ignorance. So we need to handle that one. There's no any other things in the world, no matter how rich you are, no matter how famous you may be, no matter how powerful may be, but these, using these things to cannot purify our mental confusion, which are the direct cause of the suffering, that what we don't desire for. Everybody, desire to free from suffering. So as Shantideva mentions, we said, so we desire to free from suffering, but we chase the suffering. We desire to have peace and happiness, but we destroy them as if they were enemies because of our ignorance. That is exactly what we are in the samsara. We are facing that. Nobody desires suffering, but suffering comes without choice. Because we have created the cause. As long as the cause is there, then suffering is just reflection of this cause of suffering, our confusion. So Dharma, what the Buddha taught, is the direct counteract to uproot the cause of suffering. So we always have to follow that. There is no other alternative. There is no negotiation. We have to go forward. So that's why I mentioned, actually, everybody in the world, they have to study this Dharma and practice. But everybody don't have that opportunity. So those who we are that have this opportunity are so fortunate. We just go forward, reflect on this, and then study, practice as much as you can. And Dharma, without practice, doesn't help. Like you have prepared such a delicious dish, display on the table. So now here's all the delicious meal all here. If you don't eat, then your suffering of the hunger will not solve. So look at the dish. You exhibit all this food there. It looks so good. But I'm so hungry. So if you don't eat it, then the suffering will not solve. So to solve the suffering of the hunger, then you have to eat. Same way, if we want to free from the suffering, then look at the mental, all these afflictions, mental delusions. We all are, and mental delusions, there's no difference. There's no car, there's no such car. This is the American's mental delusion. This is the Asian mental delusion. This is the European mental delusion. We don't have that. No. We all share the same problem, like anger, like desire, attachment, ego. Same thing, It's amazing, Look at this, how Buddha taught. At that time, Buddha taught the Dharma in a small part of India, northern part of India, But he taught all mother sentient beings. And now Dharma goes everywhere, and there's no need to change anything, except just we have to understand what the point is about. But sometimes we are, due to lack of our wisdom, we don't communicate precisely. That's the problem we're facing. That's why Gongchik is such an indispensable teaching that we need in this 21st century. But it requires individuals' ability capacity to express these teachings. As I mentioned, people can talk about Gongchik. Oh yes, this Gongchik. But this individual scholar believes this. This will believe this. That will believe this. And this is a Gongchik believes. It doesn't make any special. Here, Gongchik is complete scope of the teaching. And we need that mental capacity to communicate. So that's why I try to here doing that. As mentioned, yesterday I mentioned, I expressed my limitation, how I'm limited. But I try my best, And then you all said, I'm sharing very sincerely, that you have to make effort to really go to really capture the total meaning. So now here, we've just finished verse 61, isn't it? Is that right? Okay, now 62. Just so the wise shall always be convinced that it is through the interlinking of the aggregates the rebirth into other lives occurs, but not the something transmigrated. That means, let's just mention, when the moon's reflection comes in the lake, the moon does not come into the lake. You see, moon is still in the sky, but you can see the very clear reflection of the moon in the lake. So our reflection of the karma, what we have created, that reflection manifests according to the cause that we have created. Look at them, not just only life after life, just in this moment. When you have just a sense of sincere type of love and compassion in the mind, at that, because of that sincere love and compassion, the reflection is nothing but peace. Like just example, if the person hates you with red face, you are such, at that moment you stabilize your mind. Just see, this person is suffering so much. Instead of responding in a negative way with the understanding of the wisdom, first you have to have the wisdom, to reflect on the wisdom. So this individual is suffering so much. So with that wisdom, then you just reflect on the loving kindness, compassion. So this person is suffering. And when you could do this, there's real peace. That peace doesn't come from nowhere, but just reflection of your love and compassion. See, it's interdependent. Don't hear what it's saying. It's interdependent, interconnected. You see. That, as I mentioned yesterday, I gave the Buddha natures. There's a butter in the milk. When you produce the butter from the milk, you ask, is this butter is milk or what? As you say, it's butter. It's come from where? It's from the milk. If this milk is the butter? No. If this butter is the milk? It's a no. Or this milk is the butter? It's a no. But Without milk, there's no butter. That very butter is come from the milk. So it's, when you carefully examine that, it's inexpressible. In our gross mind, you can see that. If you go very detailed about it, then it's very difficult to explain, express, you know. So this is what it's saying. It's not something jump from one place to another, you know. So this life, next life, you know. That mental formation, whatever positive, negative, that itself now it becomes the root cause for your peace and all suffering, you know. So that's why we have to meditate, the practice. You know, I'm sure you have heard of Ashoka, King Ashoka. King Ashoka was one of the most powerful king in India. First, he was not Buddhist. He was warrior. No. He made such many wars, battle to conquer country, place to place. First, it's originated in Orissa, no, these days called, that time it's called Kalinga something. But then he saw a Buddhist monk, and he was so impressed, that Buddhist monk, walking very peacefully, calm, you know, because he was fighting, killing, you know. Oh, I need, who's this person? So then he found the Buddhist monk, and then he became a Buddhist. And he got such a great teacher, you know, who guided him. And he was king then, you know. Then this teacher taught him how to do things well, and he was very successful. And he was one of the most powerful king in India. So he ruled so entire India, you know, expand him. I'm sure you know, he sent Buddhist missionary to Thailand, Burma, you know, to Cambodia, and then to the West, Kashmir, and this, you know, and Pakistan, and Afghanistan, you know, the Sri Lanka, you know. So he was such that kind of great, you know, sponsor. But at the time of death, what happened? He was old. Then he got sick. India is hot, you know. At that time, there's no air conditioning, you know. You see, no? Then the servant, the people around him, they have to wave the fan, you know, the fan on his head. And so the weather is so hot, and they're just waving the fan to air to cool off his face. Then they're just hour after hour, day and night. And they're so tired and sleepy, and the fan fall down on his face. Well, he was so sick. At that time, he was furious. Now I am old and got sick. During such, even this poor slave, this poor servant, looking down on me, throwing the fan on my face, how dare that can do? But in the mind, he was that, you know, furious. But physically, no capacity to, you know, move. At that moment, he died. No. With that mental formation, then he died. And then his teacher, who was such a great, who can see No, his rebirth. So his teacher was looking, now my great king must be born in such a high life, high place, looking around there, could not find. Then he found his rebirth. He's in his garden with a giant snake. And the snake was so hungry, looking for predators and some animals to eat, So that the teacher just came down there. You, dear, my great king, born in such a life, snake. You dare eat any animals, So because of that, his blessings of this teacher, and he has on his own also, because he was practicing Dharma so much, all this combination, he closed his mouth and died and reborn in the better place. You see, so that's our Dharma practices. So we have to continue the practice of love and compassion, nature of the emptiness, like these things, Well, that's why the Dharma, how to help your mind, how to reshape the mind. See, so that's why I see here, just so that while shall always be convinced that it is through the interlinking of the aggregates, these 5 aggregates, that rebirth into other lives occurs, link into dependent causes and conditions, you see. But there's nothing special. The body jumps into the next life like that, no. But not that something transmigrated, you see. Very subtle, naturally, Then here, these are very important now point. Empty phenomenon, in short, drive from the phenomena that are likewise empty. Oh, yes. The agent and the action and the one who reaps its fruits. All this, the Buddha said, is relative. The all concealing truth, conditional truth. So when there's agent, then there's an action, then there's a result. You see, like say, there's a cook, and the cook cooks the food, and the food is cooked. So 3 things, they cook, and then the food cooked, and the cooked food. Okay, so the agent, the action, and the result. Okay. These all are communication in the relative state. That Buddha said. So that is just within in the emptiness. You see, every empty phenomena, in short, drive from the phenomena that are likewise empty. See, the agent, see, and the action, and the one which ripens its fruit. This all manifests from the emptiness. Okay, or within the emptiness, whether you realize or not realize, the nature itself is empty. All this, the Buddha said, is relative. All these activities within in the emptiness you play is relative. It's relative. The all concealing truth is a relative truth. Okay. These are So that is 63. Now, this is giving example how relative truth is about here. So 64. Just like the sound of a drum, likewise should arise from gathering of the causes. You see, there's a drum, you know. You see the drum, there's a drum. Oh, okay. The drum is made from wood, and the skin there, and the holder there, and then person beats that. So it's not one thing. It requires all these conditions. Without the wood, you cannot place the skin. Without the person beats, it doesn't produce the sound. So when all this come from, then it produces the sound. Or just you should say this bell. Look at this, no? The bell here, this bell tongue, and this holder, all this there, but still it doesn't make sound, isn't it? Then if I move hand like this, finally it makes sound. So this sound is combination of many causes and conditions. But that sound, you see, look at where. You hear there, you can hear out there, but sound is here. Why it is coming there? It's all just empty. So it's just manifestation of this emptiness. So that is called relative state. Okay, but without this relative state, there's no ultimate, which will come later there. But anyway, first you see that. Or you said the shoot. Now in the ground, you say the shoot. You need the ground. You need the seed. Not just enough the seed. You need all the moisture, good weather, everything you need there. When all things come together, then there's a shoot arises. This is that product is the combination of all these causes and conditions. This is called, see, likewise should arise from a gathering of causes. All the things that in the outer world arise dependently. It gives us understanding outside all these things. You see the forest, mountain, running rivers, all this happening due to the causes and conditions. Many causes and conditions come together and then manifest that. Okay. So that, because of that, said, are we say like dream and a magical display. So we should understand this all are just magical show. The magician, the magician tricks all this, winding all this and all, and the tricks all this, then they display a lot of things, isn't it? So the magic shows. So everything is a magic show. For magician, need all these causes and conditions. Without the causes and conditions, the magicians cannot display the magic. So this world itself is magic show. But we don't realize that. We say magic show is illusory nature. It's magic show. And this is real, we say, But There's no different of that. Our hunger, when we have no food, is magic show. You know, if we have no stomach, there's nothing to be hungry. I dislike this. It's magic show. Your mental expression, I dislike, or I like, is also magic show. My attachment is magic show. But we don't realize we are something real, concrete. We are so caught up with that. No? We are confined within this illusion and trapped, and we suffer helplessly. So we should understand this. It's so beautiful, you see. Then next 65 said, so just to see that things arise from causes. And all these things arises from the causes. Without cause, without condition, nothing can manifest. Nothing can come about. All are just appearing, no? And then dissolving. It's all this on the depend on the causes condition. So he says, all the phenomena manifest from the causes. But that manifestation of all these things based on the causes condition, it doesn't contradict because it relates to their causes condition. Namyangawa minjurtes. It's beautiful, really, you know. This is a never contradicts what we have just declared. Since causes and condition devoid of being causes, you see, the causes and conditions that itself or themselves are the devoid of the causes and condition. This means there's no inherent causes and condition. That itself is empty. You know, in the Heart Sutra, the form is emptiness, and the emptiness is the form. Form is no other than emptiness, and emptiness is also no other than form. So this is earlier mentioned, that what you see doesn't contradict being an emptiness. It's the individuals how you project, how you see. That's universal. This is not something Buddhist believe or Buddha created. But this is something how everything functions as it is. But we need a wisdom. We need such a wisdom that which can capture this reality nature. We need the ability of the mind to penetrate these qualities. So that's what is important. You know? So that's since causes are the devoid of being causes, we understand phenomena to be unborn means emptiness. Yeah. So easy to say unborn, it says emptiness. There's synonym, you know, synonym. Yeah, no. Sometimes says, oh, this is born. Oh, I understand emptiness, but what it means unborn? No, but the same meaning, you know. Therefore, in this next 66, this unborn feature of phenomena is set forth as their emptiness. So you see that very unborn nature itself is nothing but empty. It's emptiness. So because of that, in a brief, all phenomena refer to the five aggregates. If you say all the phenomena, you can say, but all the phenomena you think something very large, but it's these five aggregates. This all you see, what you hear, what you smell, taste, touch. There's no any other things than that. You can go anywhere, everywhere you go. Everyone in the world has the five aggregates. Nothing special. Nothing more. So they say all the phenomena called, in a brief, is the five aggregates. The form, the feeling, the perception, the formation, and consciousness. Okay. Very beautiful, you know. So all the phenomena are included within that in a way, no? Oh. Anywhere you go, anybody you meet, so I feel good, I feel not good. I say this is beautiful, not so beautiful, this is a big, small perception, you know, and formation, consciousness. I see my eye consciousness, I can see this. My ear consciousness, I can hear this. Anywhere you go in the world, you know. So that gives you such a kind of wisdom. Oh, I don't have to go anywhere. There's nothing secret about it. So, you know, then next, when they say, when suchness is expounded as it is, the all concealing, all relative state, all concealing relative is not at all suspended. For separate from the relative, there is no suchness to be found. It's beautiful, you know. Real, now see. When you explain the suchness, this I think suchness, you can, I think there are two types of suchness. Suchness in the relative state and suchness to ultimate. So with the five aggregates, you explain all the causes, condition, how they function, without contradicting each other, you know. When you explain all this, like how to grow the tree, how to raise the child, all these things, when you have such a great skill, do these things, then it continues one after another, causes the conditions. So it's the relative state of suchness. And ultimate suchness of this is everything is nothing but empty. Having said that, that very emptiness itself is is without, is not there without the relative state. Okay, so that we should say, when suchness is expounded as it is, the all-concealing relative is not at all suspended and will not discontinue. All this, because of this there, the suchness of that is there. As long as the fire is there, the heat is there. As this morning we talked about this molasses, as long as there's a molasses there, the sweet is there. As soon as the molasses disappear, then there's no sweetness is there. So like that, when I have this book here in my hand, the suchness of the book continues. Okay. So, therefore, I said, for separate from the relative, there's no suchness to be found. You see, separating from the relative state, you cannot find suchness. If you take away the fire, you cannot find the heat. Okay. So in other words, you see, look at in our life. When there's no cause of suffering, there's no suffering. When there's a cause of suffering, there's a suffering. See? They cannot transcend. No, the suchness or emptiness cannot transcend all the causality, all functions within the suchness. So look at my suchness is emptiness. You realize and you meditate on this. And your suffering is taken care of. So this is very important to point, you see. This other dimension, the five skandha that I have. When I'm grasping, when I'm fixated, it's my, me, and then I attach to myself, I involve my ego. Oh, this is the center of my samsara. And there I suffer. At that moment, when I have the wisdom to see it, these five aggregates is just an illusory nature. It's just manifestation of the mind delusion. There's no ego, such called ego. There's no such called something concrete, substantial. And then I meditate, more I meditate, then I see illusory nature. Then I see it's just nothing but space. Then I'm free from suffering. That's why we don't have to go anywhere in the world. That place where we are now can be samsara, can be nirvana, depending on the individual. When you are confused, confined, it's a samsara. When you liberated from that, it's nirvana. So that's why I say, separate from the relative, you cannot find suchness, enlightenment. Oh. Here, 68, isn't it? Now that, and this, the relative has been explained as emptiness. So that relative state itself is emptiness. No? There's that the voidness is itself is relative. The voidness means emptiness. The emptiness itself is nothing but relative. There's no separation. That's the explanation from the Heart Sutra. The form is emptiness and emptiness is form. There's no separation. Okay. Usually we have form, I see these things. Emptiness you cannot see. So they're two different. In our duality mind, we have that, isn't it? So, and the emptiness, nothing is there, empty. And then in the form, I can see all these things. So they're two different. But in reality, the very what you see that form, that itself is nothing but empty. And that emptiness itself is the form. There's no separation. So the relative has been explained as the emptiness. Here we should say explain, but we have to experience it. The voidness is itself the relative. Without the one, the other does not manifest. See, without the form, relative, the other emptiness is cannot find. Okay. Just like impermanence and fabricatedness, this means cheta, meta, jishinos. Che is the which is a produce, product, that which things exist. That thing which is exist is impermanent. Without these things which is exist, there's no such called impermanent. Oh, you are so kind. Thank you. Excuse me? No coffee. No. Yeah, this is so beautiful. Now you understand more about the emptiness and relative, their connection, their relationship. You see, the relative has been explained as emptiness. Or relative, the nature of the relative itself is emptiness. And voidness, the emptiness is itself is relative, you see. Emptiness itself is the relative. That depend on each other. Without, in other words, without the relative, there's no emptiness, ultimate. Without the ultimate, there's no relative. So that means the ultimate itself is relative. Okay. So without the one, the other ceases, other does not manifest. Just like impermanence and fabricatedness, they created, the things they created. Now your practice, you are coming to this. The relative drives from karma and defilements. The relative, where these all relatives come from, is the karma they created. The karma is, who created karma? By the defilement, mental affliction. So how is so wonderfully explained, no? Then he said, and it is from the mind that karma is manifested. Then you say, where the karma is come from? It's from the mind. Yeah. The mind is but the meeting of habitual tendencies. That you see, as mentioned, the habit continues. And from that, we act, physically, mentally act, and create the karma. So that combination of our habitual tendency, we create the karma. If we could stop the karma and the habit now, we won't create karma. Just manifest, just meditate, you see, like an anger. It's expression of the habit. We know anger is not good. But when we meet the conditions, anger manifests, isn't it? And you say, this is not good, but it comes up. Why? Our habit, you know? If we could stop, no, the anger is not good at all. Just say, no, no more. I made that my anger is not exist now. It dissolves, no? Then no matter what happened, you have no anger. You know? When there's no anger, there's no any reason to make karma relation with the anger. Same as like attachment, aversion, you know. So we keep creating cause, and the manifestation continues of the result. You see, look at in the wall. As other dimension, our ego is very sensitive. And it's very fragile, you know. Very fragile. It's easy to hurt, you know. It's habit. Like me, you know, I studied Dharma, and not just studied Dharma, I investigated. So there's no ego exist. Nowhere, you know, I find. But still, in my mind, I hold, I am important. Don't touch me, you know. Stay away from me, you know. Say, okay. See, it's because that my expression of the habit, okay. So that we need to take care of. This is what is saying this. So precious. Direct, this is called introduction, direct teaching. So, the mind is but the meeting of habitual tendency. When that habitual tendency meets, then create the karma. And freedom from such tendency is bliss, you see. When we are free from all those habits, mental delusions, we don't create karma. And when the mind is free from this all delusion, that is itself is called bliss. Dawa. In Tibet it's called dawa. So you relax. See? Just occasionally you meditate, your mind free from all these negativities. gaze the sky and relax. The mind is so blissful, so peaceful, so quiet, you see. But then underneath, the habit manifests, And then, without our knowing, occupies all the space, And then there we start suffering, So there, what we need is called vigilance, as other dimension, the awareness, or mindfulness is a so important point for our practice. Now there are not anywhere in the world now they say mindfulness is very important, But with this our smartphone, it's difficult, isn't it? It's just constantly our eyes are on the smartphone, And we're so distracted by that. So all the distraction that we have, physical distraction, mental distraction, and then difficult to have this mindfulness. Now, this is our way to practice is explaining so beautiful, So now that blissful is mentioned, bliss and freedom from such tendency is bliss. Now next you see verse 70. A blissful mind is peace itself, you see. That blissful mind itself is a peace. Mind which is free from all this habitual tendency. Blissful, that blissful is peace. A peaceful mind is not confused, you see. When you have the mind is so peaceful, then there is no confusion. Mental afflictions there. Mental affliction is the absence of all the mental afflictions. Yeah. And unconfused, it phantom suchness, you see. When the mind is unconfused, clear, precise, then you can phantoms suchness. You can see the depth of the mind. Moment the absence of the confused mind, ignorance, you realize that it is. Then it says, you see, assimilating suchness, it is free. Means when you realize the suchness that you are free from, you are free, is correct. You achieve the liberation. So they're connected, related so well, one after another. So you said, no, how you can achieve the liberation. So look at this. That's how to practice, you see. First, now there's no separation of relative and emptiness. Wherever there's a relative, that nature is emptiness. The emptiness is no different from the relative state. And then the karma, karma is made from the mental delusions. The delusion is come from the mind. The mind is collection of the habitual tendencies. When you take care of the habitual tendencies, purify them, then the mind is bliss. When you have blissful mind, that mind is called peace. When you have the peaceful mind, then there is, it's called, no, there's called suchness. Means now when there's a shamatha, when you have this great shamatha, it's a blissful mind. In that state, there's a critical insight. So the critical insight help you to achieve the suchness. To see that. When you have the suchness realization, then you are liberated. You achieve the liberation. So you just connect that way. That's how to free from samsara. So this beautifully explained that, which the Gongchik that is about, you see. It's not just a religious training. It brings to all the causes and conditions to free us from suffering. If individual has the opportunity, ability, go through this and get all the benefit. Okay. This is very profound, no? Are you closer to liberation? I'm sure you are halfway. You see how beautiful the Dharma teaching is. It transcends all the culture, belief systems. It just brings the fresh nature of our life, what we're going through in the war, why we're suffering in the war. Now this all a relative state, how to practice, okay, step by step. Now next is the synonym of the ultimate meaning. So said suchness is called suchness. It's called uttermost perfection. It is called absence of all attributes. It is called the ultimate and called supreme bodhicitta, means ultimate bodhicitta. All these terms are named for emptiness, you see. You can use these all different terminologies, but all expression of the emptiness depends to the different conditions. They are same kind of meaning, but these meanings are depends on the condition. So suchness, when you see things there, no, what is suchness of that? The suchness of that is empty. Then when you practice step by step, the perfection, you perfect your practice, it's called the utmost perfection of your practice. You practice and you achieve that suchness, it's called the perfect, utmost perfection. Then in the absence of all attributes means the agent. When there's no agent, there's nothing to attribute. Characteristics. When there's no agent, when there's no pillar, there's nothing to describe about the pillar. So pillar is agent. And then you characterize about the pillar. When there's no pillar, there's nothing to characterize. So when you see everything says emptiness, then there's nothing to attach, nothing to hate. So all this hatred, attachment is within in the delusion. And this is the ultimate. Because we are confused in the relative state without knowing the relative state. When you know about the relative state, then from that's the ultimate. And then supreme bodhicitta, ultimate bodhicitta. All these terms are the name for emptiness. This is verse 17. Okay. Now, these are so profound. If anybody has some questions here, yes, go ahead.
Years ago, I heard a saying, and I liked it, and I've looked it up, and I haven't been able to find it. I would like for you to critique this saying. And the saying is very simple. The void is not void.
Okay, and what?
I think it's trying to say something
What did it say?
About there's kind of something in the void, or the void is, well, it's a clever poetic saying, but I think you could critique it. What do you think of the saying, the void is not void?
I'm asking you what that means.
He's trying to avoid.
Yes, exactly. This is called twisted word.
Well, I think it
contradicts yourself.
It's contradictory.
Yes.
It's trying to get eternalism into emptiness.
So when you say void is not void, it doesn't look like you are going to that void. You want to make something because it's not void. So?
Yes.
Yes.
You're not going to allow that then.
No, you have to investigate yourself first, Yeah, first. Who else? Yeah, Peter, yeah. Go. Pete.
Thank you. Rinpoche, my question is about the perception of emptiness, because we talk like rationalizing about what emptiness is in terms of the relative, but like I'm wondering about perceiving the emptiness directly after practice. And I was wondering if the reason things seem so real in the world is because of attachment and aversion.
Yes.
And if we got rid of the attachment and aversion, it would just seem like a dream or a rainbow.
Yes. It's just a rainbow.
That's good to know.
That's good enough?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't probably. There's one of the listener on Zoom has been trying to ask a question, but I have texted him. He was requesting that if he could ask a question, he or she.
Okay.
It seems like now no question. I have not
No
heard
questions.
from him.
That's okay. If there's no question, that's okay.
Okay. It become emptiness.
Yes.
I have a question from Zoom.
Oh, Carla.
Hi. Thank you, Khenchen. Thank you. So nirvana is to be free of suffering, right? Nirvana is to be free of suffering, but it's not.
Nirvana.
Oh,
Nir-
nirvana, yes. Nirvana is free of suffering, yes.
But it's not the same as emptiness.
Oh, yes.
It is the same as emptiness?
Yes, a synonym.
Nirvana too?
A synonym. Synonym. Synonym of nirvana, emptiness, ultimate selflessness.
Nirvana is a synonym of emptiness.
Yes.
And is empty at the same time, and it is relative at the same time. Nirvana and samsara are relative.
Yeah, nirvana is the other side of this samsara.
Yeah. One cannot exist without the other one.
Yeah, samsara is a state of suffering.
Yeah.
Okay, samsara is a state of suffering, and nirvana is free from suffering.
But both are empty and both are relative at the same time.
No, that's you are talking about its own nature. But
I'm confused.
no,
I'm confused.
see, while you are in the samsara, if you say no separation, then while you are in samsara, are you in nirvana?
Yes. We
You are
can
not
be in
suffering?
either or.
Then you are not suffering.
No.
You have no suffering.
No suffering, nirvana.
So you have no suffering.
I do have suffering.
So
But
that
I
means
can.
that means you are the samsara, not in nirvana.
Okay. But is nirvana the same as emptiness? That's my question.
Yes, nirvana is emptiness. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. But it's very confusing. But
Yes,
thank
yes.
you. Thank you.
Yes.
I'll keep
You have,
practicing.
yes, you have some work to do.
Yes, a lot. Thank you.
Khenchen. May I speak?
Yes. Yeah, Pete.
Yes. Yes, thank you. I'm overjoyed to be here in your company. And I have a question that has confused me for more than 40 years, I think.
20 years.
Yeah, a long time.
Okay. Okay.
Has to do with the,
40 years is not too long.
yeah, maybe a little too long.
Not
But-
too long.
But it has to do with the English word emptiness, which is something utterly devoid of any phenomena.
Yes.
And I think when I hear you speak, and maybe at another time when His Holiness spoke, that there was a arising from emptiness, all the possible choices, all the possible arising qualities also is built into that emptiness. So it's not like a great big hole. It's a place from which everything arises as well. Is that possibly the way it is? Is the emptiness also an enormous amount of potential from which anything can arise?
This all just, you are just objectifying the emptiness.
I'm sure.
You are not subjectifying your emptiness. So you have to bring emptiness in the mind, and then look at the absence of all the mental afflictions.
Yes.
When you see your mental or all the mental afflictions, when you see that, so this is non-existence of the mental afflictions. So non-existence of the mental affliction itself is the wisdom.
Yes. Okay.
You see, so that's what's called emptiness. In other words, it's empty of the mental afflictions.
That's helpful.
You see, when you see the absence of the mental afflictions, then it's saying there's the peace within.
I find that helpful. Thank you very much.
Oh, yes, please. Now, not just objectify emptiness out there, but internalized, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his question actually has two questions. He
Uh-huh.
said, what does non-origination of phenomenon mean?
Non-origination
Hmm.
phenomena means it's unborn. Okay. There's no beginning. Okay. There's no beginning, there's no end. And so that, say, in reality, nature, its nature is unborn.
And his other question is, what does it mean to be empty of origination?
Now, this we should reflect to the relative state. Because we are coming from long time in the samsara, relate to in the relative state, and the duality. So as long as when we abide within in the duality state, then the suffering continues. And as soon as when you realize these all relativity state or relative states are nothing but a manifestation. And that manifestation itself is not different from the emptiness. That's what it's called.
Thank you. Another question from the listeners is Monica. She has a question. She asked, if emptiness is inseparable from relative, does this mean that samsara is inextinguishable?
Nirvana is extinguishable?
Yeah, if emptiness is inseparable from the relative,
Yes.
does it mean samsara is inextinguishable?
Oh, yes. Very much. For that, we are studying, practicing Dharma.
Yes. And one more question from Yusi, Sister Yusi. She said, when we talk about emptiness, it is not void. Empty also allows possibility.
Empty allows.
Yusi, she said that it wasn't a question she was writing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Maybe she's giving some
Yes.
some suggestions.
Yeah.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
I have two questions
But this one,
about two questions. One is about the term conventional,
yes.
and the other is about the term suchness.
Okay.
And how do you use those terms, and what do they mean?
Yes, conventional or relative state, the same meaning, In the conventional, means there's always ups and downs, back and forth in the conventional, And sometimes we're happy, sometimes not so happy, sometimes we make mistakes, sometimes we realize this thing going back and forth. It's conventional. And in the suchness is then that always in that nature. Like the space, you see, the space is always in that nature, no matter what happened. With cloud, without cloud, the space is always in that suchness nature. Never changes. But in the conventional state, the cloud changes all the space, all the time. So in the mind nature doesn't change. Your mind, your nature of the mind doesn't change. But within that state, all your thought process, then going up and down, so forth. So there's a conventional. This one old lady just once said.
There was someone who wished to ask a question before. Can you go ahead and unmute your mic and ask again, please? I didn't catch who asked the question.
I have a question.
Please
two
raise your
questions.
hand if you have questions so
Yes,
that we
please.
can understand, who is,
I don't have a hand.
oh, okay. Go ahead.
Yes, I don't understand passage 55 at all, and I'm confused by the suchness in relative reality. I always thought suchness meant enlightenment. So how can you have suchness in relative reality? So I'm assuming there's some sort of enlightenment in relative reality. I don't understand. I'll repeat the question if I talk too fast.
Ah,
I just lost.
okay. Suchness, relative state. Suchness is also relative, depend to the suchness, or depend to the relative. Because there's a relative, you call suchness. Because there's a suchness, there's called relative. So actually both are relative or suchness. This is just intellectual, see, as I just mentioned, your all different thoughts, every second, every minute, a lot of thoughts, process, manifest in the mind, one after another. That's called relative state. Okay. But your nature of the mind itself doesn't change. There's suchness. So you need to realize your suchness, the mind, without kind of confuse in the relative state of the mind of all this thought process.
I still don't get it, but I'll work on it.
Yes, we all have a lot of work to do.
Thank you. And I see another hand. It's Ed. Ed has his hands raised up. Please ask the question.
Yes. Good afternoon, Rinpoche. Thank you for these amazing teachings. How would we bring these teachings more into our personal experience, especially when we're in challenging situations, dangerous situations like homelessness or medical crisis, where we intellectually know its causes and conditions and emptiness, yet it would be very difficult, well, for me, very difficult at that moment to really use that knowledge in a practical way. So and you used the term subjectify our knowledge of emptiness. So what could you share some methods or on how we take this very intellectually complex topic and bring it to challenging life situations?
Yes, as you mentioned, our life is in the relative state. We are not absolute state yet. So we have to solve all the problems in the relative state. So we have to bring all the causes and conditions together, that we have to try our best. What's the best way? As I mentioned, if you are a practitioner, then look at the 10 virtues. Okay, what are those 10 virtues? and then look at the 10 non-virtues. What are those 10 non-virtues? Then we practice first, in our mind, avoid all those 10 non-virtues as much possible, and engage and then progress your 10 non-virtues as possible. These are mentally, you just, due to causes condition, I'm facing these difficulties. Yes, it is very obvious, I understand, And then physically you see what you can do, see what the opportunity is there. Look around, there are places that you can talk to, make effort yourself. While you are practicing your mind, then you see not only yourself, but there are so many people like we are, there are so many people we are. Then say, look at this nature of the samsara. There's so much suffering is there, and develop loving kindness, compassion in the mind, instead of hatred. Why I'm facing these things? I don't deserve these things. If you develop hatred, it doesn't solve the problem. Instead, it makes the situation worse. For your own mind and your health, and then it just contributes into society. So we need a society bringing more harmony, more peace. So bringing the more peace and harmony comes from the avoiding 10 non-virtues and engaging in the 10 virtues. So these all what you say, just look how you can do, how you can contribute, and support each other, encourage each other. So these are very important. Yes, practical action. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I'm so happy to talk to you. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. You want me to go first?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I'm trying to say luminosity is not void, but luminosity has no form, and there is no form, and it's just raw energy. It's just anyway, it's just plain luminosity. There's nothing else but energy in there, and that's what we become. That's the Dawa Chin that we're all rooting for. That's the enlightenment that we all want to be at the end. But also AZ said she wanted the Rinpoche to do the passage, explain the passage 55 again. I read it, but I want you to explain it. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very beautiful. You are very good practitioner. Very good. Yes.
Thank you, Lama. Thank you.
Yeah.
I try.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, just go ahead. Really, you are inspirational.
Thank you.
Yeah, for many Dharma practitioners, you just keep going that, practice the luminosity, okay?
Yes. Thank you, Lama.
Okay, thank you.
One question from Anna, and she texted and say that Rinpoche, should we reduce our habits from day to day?
Yes, every minute. That means negative habit, not good habit. Don't reduce it. Good habit.
Okay, thank you, Anna. And then AZ also have another question.
Yes. It says here, Oh my goodness. Yes, it says here from the very beginning itself, the mind has never had any intrinsic nature. Okay. It is not being stated here that an entity which possesses intrinsic existence somehow lacks this. I think it's the way it's written. It just confuses me.
I'm not quite sure. Have you understood?
55, passage 55.
Oh, verse 55.
Yes.
Verse, oh, which, where? Okay, yes. This verse 55, okay, I understand. Okay. Oh, 56, 50, 52, 54, 55. Okay. Oh, 55 he said, I was from the very outset, mind has lacked inherent nature, but I do not say a thing inherently exists. It deprived of its inherent nature. So what it's saying is the mind itself, right from the beginning, is when you look at your mind, first of all, look at your mind, where this exists. You know you have a mind. You think a lot. I want this, I want that, you know, and this I like, this I don't like. You have all these activities to your mind. But now then you look at your mind, where that is exist. In the body, or inside the body, or outside the body, no, or in between. Look at it. You cannot find, you cannot pinpoint where that is exist. At the same time, it is exist. So that's called exist within in the non-existence. Okay, it's inseparable. Oh. Just that's it's nature itself that. But don't worry about it. What you should do is you don't worry about that because you have the mind, you have the peace and happiness, you are experiencing suffering. All this is there. Having said that, then you just reflect on the loving kindness, compassion, as I explained. So, may all sentient beings have happiness, causes of happiness. May everyone free from suffering. May everyone achieve the enlightenment. So do those practices. Then slowly you get more understanding. You can penetrate more. It takes a lot of time. It's not just easy solution. You need kind of continuous effort, meditation, reading books, you know, read the same book again and again and continue your practice, then you will get real substantial benefit from this.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, shall we go a little more? Few verses where we are now. Verse 72. Okay. Verse 72 says, those who have no grasping of emptiness lack the basis for their liberation. Beings who are thus confused will wander in the six worlds in the prison of existence. In Tibetan, Kanda Tonyi Mishipa. So that we have discussed so much about the emptiness. No? So emptiness is not just estimation, nothingness. Emptiness is the wisdom. Wisdom that is called, this wisdom is called undefiled wisdom, unafflicted wisdom. Okay. That wisdom is realizing there's no any exists substantially, inherently. That wisdom realizes everything is just a manifestation of the causes and condition. When one cause is there, if one cause is not there, others cannot function. You know, just say, when you're cooking delicious meal, it does no salt. All the ingredients, you're making a delicious meal, you cannot taste the food because no salt. You know? So salt, everything you need there to make a one bowl of delicious meal. That's what it's called. It is called a combination of many causes and conditions. So there's no one thing exists independently. All are just a manifestation. So that kind of, that reality nature is realized by that wisdom. So that we need to study, we need to practice. We need to have a lot of accumulation of the merit and wisdom. You know, there's called two accumulations: accumulation of merit, accumulation of wisdom. So we need all required. So that shows it's not just mere empty. Okay, if it is mere empty, we don't need all those conditions. So to realize that wisdom of the wisdom which sees the non-existence of the self-independent nature requires all those conditions. So when one lacks that wisdom, then there's no way to flee from samsara. It's wander in the samsara. There's no basis for the liberation free from samsara. So we wander in the prisons of the samsara. So therefore, we have to encourage ourselves. First, you say, I want to achieve Buddhahood. Cultivate that mind for the benefit of all sentient beings. So our objective goal of Dhamma study practice is to attain Buddhahood. Not just leisure of this life, where you are enjoying samsaric life, at the same time you are using Dharma to enjoy. Not possible. In the samsara, sometimes people do that. When you don't get enough satisfaction from samsara, then you use Dharma to get more enjoyment. So you utilizing Dharma for samsaric enjoyment. And that's the wrong purpose. It's confused. So attached. You're so attached to the samsara. So our goal is to free from samsara for the benefit of all sentient beings and make effort to attain Buddhahood. So that is our goal, and that will help us to realize that wisdom, the realization of the emptiness. That's why it's called those who have no grasp of emptiness, means no realization of emptiness, lack the basis for their liberation from the samsara. Being who are thus confused will wander in the six walls in the prison of samsara. Therefore, when yogins means the great practitioner, yogis meditate upon this emptiness, there is no doubt that that there will rise in them a longing for the benefit of others. You see, when you realize the emptiness, this is very important. when you realize the emptiness of all phenomena, that's wisdom, you see. Then from that, within that, as a flavor of the realization of the emptiness, great compassion will manifest. No? And that great compassion, then you are longing to benefit all sentient beings. You see the sentient beings are desperate within the samsara. They are so kind of say, tortured in the samsara, tortured in the delusion. And your compassion is so powerful, that you have no fear to benefit sentient beings because of your realization of the emptiness. Once you realize emptiness, then one achieves the fearlessness nature. There's nothing to fear. So that's the beauty of the realization of the emptiness. It's not just nothingness. It's not just a void, vacuum. It is something like full of wisdom and courage, fearlessness, and the compassion, and at the same time, non-violence, peace. And then that Bodhisattva was reborn life after life, life after life. So then you see there's a prayer said in the Shantideva's text, Bodhicharya, as long as the space remains, as long as the sentient beings remain, I will endure to remain in the samsara, help all sentient beings who needed help. See, this is what is, 다른 방법이 있는데 내주 봐요 검잖아. 진짜 되나 착별로 중화적으로 태도면서 there's no doubt about that. So we need a correct understanding of the emptiness and correct practice of meditation. So from that, we need this Buddha's teaching, wisdom in the world, you see, not as a Buddhist, okay, not as a Buddhism in the world, but in the world, we need this to bring peace, real peace in the world. Practicing nothing but virtue, compassion, understanding the causality. The cause of suffering is non-virtue. Avoid all the non-virtue and bring all the virtue. And then see wisdom, compassion, then I think the world will be much better. There are some stories maybe I will relate tomorrow. Very beautiful there, you see. Then there goes Father. So how to benefit sentient beings here? I will repay the kindness of all beings who in the past have shown me so much goodness, see, when they were my father, mother, relative, and friends. So sentient beings have been my father. Sentient beings have been my mother. All the sentient beings have been my relatives, my brother, my sisters, and they have done so much to me in my life. Now I will repay their kindness with love and compassion. See, in the emptiness, then your love and compassion is so powerful. So that's what is what is saying here. Then see, that's verse 74. 75 says, Nyomo sore simjini, nyomo, sibe sore simjini, nyomo me dongnamba, dagi dongi, jemba tar, deshin dewa jembar rik, see, those living beings trapped in the prison of existence, in the samsara. There are so many who are trapped in the prison of the samsara. and surrounded by all the confusion, violence, and suffering. So much like in the war, battle. People are desperate. So much suffering is there, Tortured by the fire of the sea, they have defiant emotion. Then fire of the anger, your attachment, all just manifest, and it burns all your peace and happiness. So, it said here, just as once I brought them sorrow, sometimes due to lack of my wisdom, understanding, I tortured many beings here and there, before I understood the Dharma teachings. I brought a lot of sufferings. Now I realize that was wrong. So then, she said, it is right that I should bring them happiness. Now I understood the Dharma teachings. Now I am the responsible to bring happiness in the world. So before we achieve the absolute nirvana, but we need this in the relative state. Okay, this is more practical. Sometimes we are not looking where we are. We're dreaming ultimate state. How I can achieve ultimate state? What is the ultimate state? And without looking at our limitation at this place, So first we have to look at where we are, what limitation we have, and from that, avoid all the cause of mental suffering. As I mentioned, the three poisons are always our enemy. No matter how much we try to satisfy them, attachment, aversion, the ignorance, they will never become friend of our peace and happiness. They will always give us suffering. So understand that. In the 400 verses by Ayadeva in his text mentioned, a man, a patient who's possessed by like an evil spirit, is always paranoid, suffering so much. And the doctor who knows that person well, when that person expresses anger, the doctor will have such great compassion. This person is possessed by these evil spirits. Instead of expressing anger, I have to help this person. This person needs help. Likewise, the person wants peace and happiness, but because of his evil spirit that he's possessed, he has no freedom. Due to the lack of the freedom, he expresses all this anger, and he's suffering helplessly, relentlessly, So Buddha saw sentient beings who are possessed by this evil three poisons. So the three poisons are the real enemy, but not the sentient beings who has those poisons. So Buddha gives all the compassion, support to the sentient beings, how to handle, how to purify these poisons. So that's what Dharma is taught for. So that's what it's saying here. And that's as I mentioned in our prayer, I read that yesterday, all mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, see how precious that meditation practice is. Those who create obstacles to my path, may they achieve all peace and happiness. may they free from suffering, and swiftly gain the enlightenment, Buddhahood. This is what is exactly is talking about here. No? So these are the practical things that we can do in our life before we achieve the ultimate. No, I say, I don't know when we'll achieve ultimate. Maybe today, tomorrow, or next year. But today we can do these practices. Okay. Now he has said, you see, this is so precious. Verse 76. Jide tendo ngedo yi. Dada mendo debute. Simjen namla pembata. Nobalane jungajus. This is exactly what now Lord Jigdosu was saying. Causality. When you come to causality, causes, condition, result, even Buddha is out of ability. So you have to go with that. You know, the story, first I'll read this, you see. Result, so desire and undesire. What you desire, peace and happiness, isn't it? What you undesire, suffering, you see. That in good or evil state within this wall. So within this wall, you know, all these drive from the action, good or evil. So all just result of the virtuous action and non-virtuous action. See? And that have been done to others beings. So that is done for others beings. When you help other sentient beings, you get the benefit. You know, when you harm other sentient beings, you get the harm. Just two sentences Milarepa said. Rangde tamje shene jung. Shende samba rangde jus. All our peace and happiness that we have is come from outside, from others, we should say from others. Our thought of altruistic thought for others is our own benefit. Very powerful message. Like see here now, this few days we're staying here, talking in Dharma teachings and enjoying the food and relaxing, all these things because of others. First of all, the farmer, they work in the farm. See how much they work in the farm, producing all those food. And then the agent, they collect those, all these products and bring to the store. And then with the store, people are working so hard, bring it together this. And then we go there to buy. And then we get this to eat. And just, still who has just, complaining. It's not a good idea, So all our happiness is because of others. And also see business people, they sold their products and people buy their own products. Because of the people buy, they become rich. Because the people that become billionaire, if that person stays in the desolate place, nothing but a desert, nobody's around there, they say how rich they are. You cannot become rich there in the desolate desert, You are selling all your products and people buying that and you become rich. And politicians as well. They elected Senate, Congress, President, because people elected them. Because of the people, they become president, they become Senate. senators, Congress, you know. Now here with Dharma practitioners, you see, you practice loving kindness, compassion because of the sentient beings. You can't practice compassion into this cup. So, oh, I'm practicing, my cup may be so happy, you know. Oh, I'm practicing compassion, just my cup may be free from suffering. If you do this, people think you are crazy. You are nuts, you know. So because the sentient beings there around there, may all sentient beings have all the peace and happiness. May they free from all the suffering. No? May they achieve enlightenment. And we get the benefit. Nobody takes away that benefit. In the samsara, all this, what you are, no, things, good things happening because of sentient beings. All the wrong things happening because of our mental ignorance, delusion. That's the Dharma teaching, the wisdom of Dharma teaches us, you see. Some say this great Bodhisattva, or highly accomplished. How that happened? Because the sentient beings. Practice of the sixth in general, the sixth perfection. You give things, no? You can't give things on the piece of rock, you know. You give things to the people. This is poor, this is what needed. You give things and you collect the merit. No, you get the benefit. You practice patience. And I don't need to practice patience in my cup, you know. See, somebody irritates me, then I try my best to practice patience. And who gets the benefit? I get the benefit. Nobody will take away that benefit. And I become Buddha because of sentient beings. So because Buddha knows that, attain Buddhahood, I become Buddha because of the sentient beings. I perfected my Bodhicitta because of the sentient beings. Now I must help this teaching. I must help to these sentient beings in giving all those teachings generously, without reservation. No? But the constantly thinking how to help other sentient beings. So that you see this, how these teachings are so precious. We need this teaching in the world. You know? Share this wisdom, you know? How to practice, how to now help others, make the world better. You know? Dharma practitioners has a big responsibility because we're following the Buddha. You know? How precious this is. It's so good, isn't it? Do you agree or not? I says, you know. So today maybe we say 76, okay. So tomorrow not so many little will complete this. So I'm so grateful everybody who participated on this program, and please keep those in the mind. And I know from very limited understanding and then limited experience, but I share as much as I can to help others. And I'm surviving my life because of Buddha, you know. Because of Buddha, I'm getting food, you know. I'm wearing the robes because of Buddha, you know. Then with that, and because of your all supports, so I'm so grateful. That much I can reflect on. And then you all just see this, how precious the wisdom of the Buddha. Dharma is always a source of peace and happiness. Dharma is always source of courage. No? So Dharma means peace. We start with the peace. And when you achieve Dharmakaya, it's the absolute peace. It's an undefiled peace, unafflicted peace. All our mental afflictions are the cause of suffering. And Buddha taught this how to uproot. As mentioned, only the Dharma teaches us that. There's no other, no technologies, no matter how powerful technologies that exist, that uproots our delusions, takes away our delusion. Instead, they help us to increase our delusion, and we suffer so much. Now I hear some news like now, like 90% of the people in the country are depressed. Very sad, you know. There's no chance to relax. When you go mountain, your phone, smartphone go with you in the mountain. Okay. When you go to the ocean, your smartphone go to the ocean with you. And then constantly the whole world is there. And then we suffer. And it's so addicted or addictive. So try to reflect the Dharma. Relax your mind. Calm your mind down. At least before enlightenment. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. These are just reminding. I'm just saying very sincerely, you know, how Dharma is precious. We need in the world, not as a religion to believe, not believe. What to believe, not what not to believe, but whole in the world we need Dharma. And those who are following the Buddha's teaching has a really big responsibility. Instead of we showing, I'm a better person than you are, you know, I'm a better teacher than you are. You know? We don't need this now, you know. We need something can contribute real peace and happiness in the world. You know? Okay, first please take a deep breath. Inhale fully. And exhale. Please take out all the stress we have. We're so stressed. And breathe in all the Buddha's wisdom and compassion. And release all our stress again. And breathe in again all the bodhicitta of the Buddha. The relative bodhicitta, absolute bodhicitta. And heal our mind. And exhale all our delusion. Then again, please say these prayers. May all Mother Sentient beings have all the peace and happiness. May all Mother Sentient beings free from suffering. May they swiftly attain complete Buddhahood, including those who hate me, everyone, those I know and those I don't know. Thank you. Then with this, please say this dedication prayers.
Glorious holy,
venerable, precious, kind, root and lineage lamas, divine assemblies of yidams, assemblies of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, yogins, yoginis, and dakinis, dwelling in the 10th direction, please hear my prayer. May the virtue collected in this 3 times by myself and all sentient beings in the samsara, nirvana, and the innate root of virtue, not result in the 8 worldly concerns, the 4 causes of samsara, or rebirth as a Sharvaka, practical Buddha. May all other sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me and mine, obstacles who harm, misleading Mars, and the hordes of demons, experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. By the power of this vast and root virtue, may I benefit all beings through my body, speech, and mind. May the affliction, desire, hatred, ignorance, arrogance, and jealousy not arise in my mind. May attachment to fame, reputation, wealth, honor, and concern for this life not arise for even a moment. May my mind stream be moistened by loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta, and through that may I become a spiritual master with good qualities equal to the infinity of space. May I gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra in this very life. May the torment of the suffering not arise even at the time of my death. May I not die with the negative thoughts. May I not die confused by wrong view. May I not experience an untimely death. May I die joyfully and happily in the great luminous field of mind as such, and the pervading clarity of Dharmata. May I in any case gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra at the time of death or in the bardo. I remember reminding, if you need some explanation of this dedication prayer, there's one book called Diamond Rosary. The Diamond Rosary contains so many practices. So there is some explanation of this dedication prayer. So you can read that book. It's called Diamond Rosary. Okay. And thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah.
Gracias, Rinpoche. Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lama.
Thank you, everybody. Everybody,
you.
and everyone
Thank
have
you,
a
Khenchen.
beautiful rest of their day.
Thank you, Lama.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lama.
Thank you,
Good to
Rinpoche.
see
Thank you so much, Khenchen.
Thank you, Khenchen.
Yes, thank you.
Gracias,
Thank you,
Rinpoche.
Khenchen.
Gracias.
Thank you,
Muchas
Khenchen.
gracias, Rinpoche.
Rinpoche. Sublime
See you
teaching.
tomorrow.
Thank you, Lama.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Thank you, Lama. I'm not gonna go till he goes. Uh-oh.
Gone, I think.
No, is it? Not yet. He's still there. In the chair.
Look at all the lovely people.
Hello. See you later. Bye bye. Hi, Kieran. Hi, Melissa. Steve. Hi, Sharla. These are our Dharma buddies. Hi, Cindy. Where Karma. Mary. Hey, Mary. Yeah, nice. So nice. Who's the young woman that he said was so perfect? Oh, that's Urban Dharma.
Thank you everyone for attending the program. We will see you tomorrow. Have a